28. Big time aspect going on between Uranus trining Pluto at 4 degrees Gemini to Aquarius, with the midpoint being Neptune at 4 degrees of Aries. All right, everybody, it's Guy Pacha with the Weekly Pele Report for July 8th of 2026. These are the good old days. That's the song for this week, man. Like it or not. Yeah, these are the good old days. I love that log up on the top of that rock. Look how high this river has gotten. In the winter, I can't wait to be here in the winter when this is a roaring, raging river, man. Oh my word. That's a high water mark up there, that log. I love it. It's like the crossing of a T. Anyway, let's get to the astrology because there's a lot of astrology. This could be really something going on here. The moon is in Aries right now. It's going into Taurus. Any minute, and then moving on through Taurus, it's going to make all kinds of aspects go into Gemini on Friday. Hit that Uranus, Sedna, Mars, the whole works going on in Gemini there, and then goes into Cancer by Sunday. And conjuncts, well, that's the sun. I mean, it's going to square Neptune, actually. But the big thing, obviously, is the new moon in Cancer. Yeah, we've got a beautiful new moon in Cancer happening at, where is it? 21 degrees, 59 minutes of Cancer. I will be reading the beautiful, amazing Sabian symbol for that degree. And but the big thing I want to be talking about here is the eye that's happening. And it will be going on for quite some time. Really from May of 26 until July of 28. Big time aspect going on between Uranus trining Pluto at 4 degrees Gemini to Aquarius, with the midpoint being Neptune at 4 degrees of Aries. And if we really want to get into it, okay, on July 20th and 21st, Jupiter gets 4 degrees Leo. So we're going to have 4, 4, 4, 4 going on all over the place with the biggies. Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron is not that far away at 0, almost 1 degree, okay, of Taurus. Chiron is also in the game. And what we have going on this week, okay, tomorrow, Venus goes into Virgo, trines Chiron, conjuncts the south node of the moon, comes in on Monday to square Uranus and make a yod, right, up to Pluto and Neptune. A yod, the fickle finger of God, the fickle finger of fate. So I want to be talking about that yod a little bit. I want to be talking about the eye with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And I'm going to find a nice little spot here. Yeah, this is up. I'm at the other end of my property than I was last week, and you can see there's the water pipe where this is where I get my water out of the river. Is that white pipe goes down to a pump that's laying there in the bottom of that pool. There's a bunch of fish in that pool, but you're not going to be able to see this because I would be a silhouette if I had the sun at my back. So I just wanted to leave it here for a little while longer and look at the camera and talk at ya. All right, baby. I got it. I got it in the background. Just to remember, You know, we're in cardinal water, you know, new moon in Cancer, crashing water, boosh, cardinal, action, initiate, begin, emotional connection, and changeable emotions, and the river goes up and down, and the tides go up and down, and the waves go up and down, and the moods go up and down, and the feelings go up and down. Ow! How about that rave last week, man? That's so funny. I think I got more comments on that Pele report than I have gotten in a long time. So, yeah. Comes and goes. Anger comes and goes. Feelings comes and goes. Love comes and goes. Wow. Wow. But it all goes back to the Mother Ocean. All goes back to the ocean of oneness. The law of one, the ocean of spirit, and beyond. From the invisible to the visible, back to the invisible. I mean, life is amazing. Beautiful part about astrology, obviously being ruled by Aquarius, 11th house in Uranus, is it is objective. It's an art science, right? You know, and it has this ability, it gives us this ability to step back, to look at the big picture. Future and past and present and global consciousness and the personal unconsciousness and the collective unconsciousness and boom, which I mean brings me right to the eye, okay, because this is big and this is the backdrop that's going on all through 2026, 2027, and 2028. It particularly became more intense when Uranus went into Gemini. Okay, because then that you give it a 4-degree orb. I give it a 4-degree orb because Pluto's up at 4, Neptune is over at 4, Uranus is coming up to 4 by July 2021. Okay, and we're going to have this exact, it will be exact. And then Uranus moves on, but it comes back in 2027 and even in 2028. And there's another eye of the same, Uranus trine Pluto, with the eye being Neptune, right? Sextile, Neptune is like the eyeball, right? And Uranus, Pluto are creating this, you know, backdrop for it. Very, very, very powerful. And of course, you know, right now also, Jupiter is coming into this opposition with Pluto, joining, you know, the fray, squaring Chiron, okay, over here. But really, Neptune is the eye. And yeah, so this backdrop is very, very, very powerful. First of all, you just understand this Uranus trine Pluto is sudden, dramatic, extreme, enlightenment, change, surprises, unpredictable events. Uranus is the personal unconscious. Pluto is the unconscious soul. And, you know, Pluto always brings a type of death, whether it is a physical death, emotional death, the death of a relationship, the death of a job, the death of a life, the death of a belief system, a reality. There is always this transformational quality of Pluto, okay, that brings in this need to, and I'm going to talk about this more with the Yod, because there's two kinds of inconjunct aspects. I'm going to get a little techie today. I got all emotional last week, you know, I can get a little more techie today. Balance it out a little bit, right? Okay, we're going to get into the difference between the 150-degree inconjunct aspect, because Venus is now going into Virgo. She's moving away from Neptune. So this is a 150-degree inconjunct aspect, okay? But it's waxing, right? So it has a Virgo quality to it. Even more so because Venus is right at the beginning of Virgo, which is 150 degrees away from the beginning point of the spring equinox, 0 degrees Aries, right? But she is 210 degrees away from Pluto, going, if we go in the phasal relationship, right? But that is 150 degrees this way. So she's in conjunct Pluto 150 degrees this way, and she's in conjunct Neptune 150 degrees this way, right? And it makes what I call kind of a slingshot, like a phew. The resolution point to the yod, okay, is the midpoint between Pluto and Neptune. 4 Aquarius to 4 Aries is going to give us 4 Pisces, opposite 4 Virgo, which is where Venus will be, okay, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whenever, you know, this is when the yod is exact. August 27th and 28th, the Sun and Mercury will be coming up to 4 degrees. And they will be making this same yod. So there'll be a connection between what's happening now and what's happening in the end of August also. So where to start with all of this? And let's not forget that this is square Uranus. It's not just, you know, this yod here, but like Uranus is down here at 4 degrees Gemini, squaring. And Uranus always throws the wild card. Uranus is like the Joker, okay? It's like you never know when the Joker's going to pop out and take the hand. Win the game. Oh, man. So things are very, and this, I think this is like really key. First of all, just that when we have this, let's look at the eye, okay? Uranus, Pluto, Neptune going on for a couple of years. This is, if we, you know, I can just read you a little bit of what, you know, it says in the Combination of Stellar Influences by Ebertine. I really like it. I mean, it's old, it's cosmobiology, but he doesn't mince words, he doesn't mess around, okay? And whenever Neptune is at the midpoint, which it is, 4 Aries is the midpoint of 4 Aquarius to 4 Gemini, right? So Neptune equals Uranus, Pluto. Sympathetic understanding of other people and the world. Neptune, right? Compassion, the positive understanding of these influences that everybody is going through, revolutionary soul changes, transformation, letting go, death, dying, releasing the past, the old paradigm, their old reality, their old identities. Woo! So there can be a sympathetic understanding that leads us to a very deep study and a desire and a need to explore supernatural worlds. Right? You know, it's like when the paradox hits, when our mind is blown and we are shocked or surprised that we seek understanding in alternative viewpoints, right? Like astrology. This could lead many, many, many people to plant medicine, to astrology, to shamanism, to, you know, all kinds of, like, what, you know, it's like, what the hell is going on? You know, the newspaper's not telling me, my therapist is not telling me, you know, AI is not telling me. There's something going on here that is mysterious, that is Neptune, that I cannot figure out. And I need to investigate, understand, and explore multidimensional reality. But it is a result of insecurity and uncertainty. At least 2 years here, folks, of very uncertain insecure times. If you are feeling insecure and uncertain, like you don't know what's going to go on next week, tomorrow, or next month, or next year, you are not alone. This is a planetary experience. Nobody knows where this is leading, where this is going. There is a high degree of unpredictability, right? The downside of Neptune always deals with some form of deception, non-reality versus reality. What is the dream? What is fantasy? What is possible? What is real? Neptune is always, 50 shades of gray or whatever. It's like, where do you draw the line? And it can have to do with deception, and being deceived. But it also has to do with unfulfilled wishes, where our dreams and our fantasies, just don't happen and they don't come true. Again, this leads us into, I need to understand myself and life at a deeper level, because what I want, what I'm dreaming of, what I'm hoping for is not happening. It's kind of a downside to this situation. The other obvious thing is fatigue. Neptune, and also nervous diseases. Yeah? So Neptune can just kind of take the wind out of our sails. Oh, that leads me to the Sabian symbol. But, it can just kind of lead to, forms of depression. And of course, Uranus is the nerves, right? So this is the eye that's going on, okay? This very powerful eye of transformation. I could talk about it for a whole weekend workshop. Okay, this is a weekly Pele report, so maybe I'll go into it a little more each week as it unfolds. Like I say, it's actually exact, okay, on July 20th and 21st. Jupiter comes up to 4, and this is within minutes. We're talking 4 degrees, 22 minutes to 31 minutes. I mean, it's phenomenal, okay, to have this exact, Pluto at 4:22, Neptune at 4:25, Uranus at 4:31, Jupiter at 4:22. I mean, wow. So we can expect, this is an intense month. Geopolitically, economically, but now, what do we have? A new moon in Cancer. Venus in a yod. We're talking about love. Not just money, but love. Feeling. Emotional connection. The need to feel safe and secure and protected and held and supported by life, by the family, by a lover, by, it's like, that is very wishful thinking in the hearts of very, very many people. Loneliness can pervade this entire month as this new moon comes around and triggers the emotional need for longing. Let me read the Sabian symbol, for this new moon, just to give you an idea here. It is a young woman awaiting a sailboat. The longing for transcendent happiness in the soul, open to great dreams. Here the symbol pictures the imaginative, youthful person who basically cannot be satisfied with what his or her ordinary social environment offers, and who instead is longing for the unknown visitation of which he or she has dreamed. From the unconscious beyond, the concretization of a spiritual image. Spiritual because impelled by the wind. It's a sailboat. Pneuma is spirit. Impelled by the wind is hoped for and expected. The beloved may come, not in a glittering opera house, but in the silence of the inner sea of consciousness. Will the great dream become concrete? Will the emotion ready to well up in response to the advent have its chance? Will the expectancy of the, in capital, eternal feminine be rewarded with reality? Wow, right? Sets the tone for this month. Is in the mantra that came to me this morning out of spirit, right? You know, it's just this longing, this hoping, this inexplicable emotional, spiritual, psychic desire and need for some transcendent experience of love, joy, happiness, fulfillment in the midst of these hard rocks of reality. Look at the beautiful flowing feminine through this masculine canyon of walls. Wow. The splendor of it all. So now let's get into this yad. Venus going into Virgo, okay? She's had her month in Leo. She's had her, drama, play, creative. Yeah, let's make it happen and get out there and do our dancing and, show ourselves and sing our songs and do karaoke, whatever. Now she's going into Virgo. We got a month of Venus in Virgo. The Virgin. Yeah, the powerful feminine energy that does not need a man to complete itself. And the great displays of Leo are humbled by the need to serve, by the critics that come in and say, that performance could have been just a little bit better, darling. I'm very sorry. You did not point your toes. And we can be our own worst critics. We have to be very conscious. Okay? And it's almost like I was going to say, energy follows attention. We need to be very careful about what we are paying attention to. Am I feeding? Because we feed with our energy whatever we pay attention to. You can really get this, in an Aya ceremony, or, you get into altered states of consciousness, and it's amazing how whatever you're thinking, you can bring up fear and you become fear. You can think of gratitude, you become gratitude. You can, when I was scanning through the canyon, how many of you went straight to the white plastic pipe? Right? You got this glorious canyon with a glorious river, this whole panorama, and Virgo can just tune in on, There's a mistake. There's something wrong. There's something out of place. There's something man-made. There's something unnatural. There's some imperfection. There's a fly in the ointment. Right? You have to be really careful about this because, in particular, not only Virgo has to do with guilt, but the 150 inconjunct has to do with guilt. And as my friend Buzz Myers used to say, how much guilt is there in Neptune? How deep is the ocean? Neptune is ultimate idealization and perfection. And the 150 degree aspect is a breakaway. It's an adjustment. It's like Venus is graduating from the school of Neptune. Okay, Venus, Neptune, you could say 5 months ago, 5 signs ago. Venus was conjunct Neptune. I don't have the date. But, there was an ideal, a dream, a possibility, a potential of, the real expectation of the feminine waiting for the sailboat was Venus conjunct Neptune. And now, is the sailboat arriving? Virgo's about reality, grounded reality. So there can be a lot of disappointment. This can be a very, very challenging, disappointing time. And we can blame ourselves. We can feel that we are being punished, that we've done something wrong, that it's due to our own imperfections, our own faults. It's my fault that I'm not happy, or it's my fault that I must have, screwed up somewhere, or You can really take on endless amounts. I want to encourage you to, the nice thing is that this Venus is a passing thing. This is really only active, like today, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday. And then Venus will move on, but she's in Virgo for a month or so. Yeah. And in conjunct Pluto, right? And so there's 2 types of inconjuncts, like I said. One is a Virgo aspect, the 150. The 210 is a Scorpio aspect, right? Venus is, 210 is the beginning of Scorpio. So it's always about a death, an ending, a letting go. And that letting go has to do with a letting go and a death of what? Control. Scorpio is about control. I need to control this. So Venus is love and money. Just let's be straight about it, okay? There can be this is bankruptcy. This is like loss of money. This is like economic collapse. This is like big ooch, ouch, ee. Yeah? And this is also, my relationship. I'm out of control of this relationship. I can't, there are just like, and it can be the death. It can be the ending of, okay, a breakup. This is just like, this can't go on like that. I want to control it, or I want to control the other person, blah, 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 blah. I feel I have this great fear of losing control. But yet that is what this whole aspect is about. Scorpio is about losing control and learning submission. I'm sorry, but yeah. It's the build-up Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio. It's the individual builds up to their greatest point of power, in Scorpio. And then what? That power, has to die. That a greater consciousness that is not self-ego-centered arises in Sagittarius to give an expanded understanding of what life is all about. So there is this death of control, this death of, I'm in charge. It's about me. I'm going to get what I want. So there is where the manipulation and the exploitation comes in. And so this is also a time period where we may find ourselves trying to manipulate okay, financial or, relationship conditions, situations, people. Or we may be getting manipulated. Somebody is exploiting us. And we're doing the Venus-Neptune victim kind of thing. So we have to be really careful, okay, around falling to either side, where we're being manipulated, or we're manipulating, or we're being exploited, or we're exploiting, or we're the slave, or we're too much the master. And yeah, it's this whole real dance. And the interesting point about this is that the resolution point of a yod is like, here's your Pluto, Neptune. This Venus is the rock in the slingshot. Right? 4 degrees of Pisces is the resolution point. Could read the Sabian symbol for that, right? The 5th degree of Pisces. I didn't. I could check it out. But, anyway, 12th house, Pisces, this does have to do with faith, hope, spirit, mysticism, supernatural realms, and exploration. Okay, this is really, wow. This is really, again, the Sabian symbol that I read, but also just this eye, well, Neptune is the eye of Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune is also the ruler of Pisces, right? And the Pisces 5th degree Sabian symbol is a church bazaar. The value of giving a spiritual or transcendent sanction to even the most commonplace interchanges between social persons and individual minds. It's transcendence, transcending. Pisces, 12th house, Neptune, has to do, with the crown chakra. So this is really having faith, hope, and trust in a very divine intelligence that is behind every earthly event. And like I say, that God is a selfish God. God wants to be our ultimate source of love, caring, security, safety, money, transformation, and reaching to relationships or jobs or the material world, the horizontal. It will ultimately fail because it is temporary, and it leads us to, that which is eternal. Neptune, Pisces, 12th house is eternal. It's almost like our catastrophes here, financial or heart or relationship, are leading us back to spirit. Wow. I got to listen to this report again after I'm done. You know what I'm saying? My heart goes out to all those in pain. I wish I could make it all better. In this high-tech world that can be distant and cold, it's important that we all stick together. You know what I'm saying? We got to resolve our differences, people. We got to love one another. Love one another right now. Come on, people. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. What's the name of that song? Right now. It's either smile on your brother or everybody come together. Probably something like that. I'll find it. I think that'll be this week's song. A little better than These Are the Good Old Days, because, we may look back because things could get even uglier and messier like I have spoken of before, okay, 27 to 32 is a 5-year, like, holy shit, transformation happening. So this is just, more of like, okay, wow, it's really big and intense. I'll talk more about Jupiter coming into that opposition with Pluto next week and the following week, but I think that's enough for today. My heart goes out to all those in pain. I wish I could make it all better. In this high-tech world that can be distant and cold, it's important that we all come together. Let's go for it. Try it out. Yeah? Reach out. Reach out and touch someone. Even if it's psychically, emotionally, spiritually. We got to stick together, people. These are the times. Namaste. Aloha. So much love. Ow!